But Billy Jensen knows a lot about this case because he spent years investigating this entire mystery, the Long Island serial killings. And so when the news broke that Rex Heuermann was arrested, I can only imagine that the podcast that he has called Unraveled was supercharged. It was the focus of the entire first season. Billy Jensen is live with me now. Billy, thanks so much for being on. Your reaction to this arrest and some of the information that we're all now privy to.
My reaction to the arrest is a combination of obviously relief and then questions. You know, the biggest question that we have is that this isn't over. And it's not even over on Long Island. You know, you've got, yes, he's got property in the Carolinas, he's got property in Nevada, but we have to look at the other 6 victims, whether he's involved with those victims. And also, you know, we've got 12 or 13 years in between when the Gilgo 4 were first discovered and now. Did he do any killing on Long Island in between then and now? So there's a ton of unanswered questions that need to be answered.
Well, in the time that it took for the arrest, meanwhile, lots of sex workers are being contacted, and that poor girl who had the phone message on her voicemail from the networking. So I have one big gaping question, and that is about wife and kids. There's a wife and 2 kids. The wife's hair was found on 2 victims, and at the time of these disappearances and murders, thank the Lord above, it has been established that she was traveling to Iceland and to New Jersey and to Maryland. Like, she was literally doing these big trips. So Rex Heuermann was home alone. But tell me what you know about the wife and kids. I did hear that she's cooperating. Do you know more?
Yeah, that's it. Not much more other than that she's cooperating. You know, whenever you get this collateral damage, if in fact the people aren't involved. We saw this with Golden State Killer as well, where somebody does have a wife and children, and then they get mixed up into this entire thing because they didn't know exactly who that they were living with. And it's a shame, you know, you have a lot of speculation on the message boards. Why was her hair found there? Hair transfer is very easy. You know, you walk around with your partner's hair all the time and you have no idea. So, you know, it seems like she is cooperating. There's a lot of questions, but I think everybody, that was a big theory, is that this guy was married and that he was killing during time periods that were very vacation heavy. So, you know, either they were in the summer or they were over, you know, certain holidays. So this is the time periods that we were looking at. And we all thought that, you know, he very well might be married and his family is out of town while he's doing this.
The other thing that was just so gut-wrenching, jaw-dropping, just describe any descriptor to it that you want to, was the taunting phone calls that were made to the victims' family members, particularly Melissa Barthelomew's family members. Multiple calls made from Melissa's own phone after she's murdered, confessing to the rape and murder, you know, taunting them about do you know what your sister was doing? I mean, just awful things. And it turns out the cell phone of the victim that was being used, it tracks exactly with the burner phone movements, the burner phones that have been actually linked through great policing and digital evidence to Rex Heuermann. And it's just like, describe for the viewers, if you will, for a second, Billy, just the horrendous nature of these phone calls that were made. And then, by the way, went dark for the time that he's visiting Iceland, only to resume the next day upon return to New York.
Yeah, he called up Melissa's sister and he said things like, you know, your sister was a half-breed. He used that term. So we all were zeroing in on who would use that term. It's a very kind of old-fashioned, awful term. He did say the things that he did to the sister. And that was a great clue in the sense of, you know, unfortunately, those calls were not taped. But that was a great clue in terms of getting Melissa's sister to be able to verify the voice. You know, she did say he had a Long Island accent. So I think we all thought that he was living on Long Island, probably living on the South Shore of Long Island, or had grown up in the South Shore of Long Island. And sure enough, he was right there in Massapequa Park.
It's the evidence is just so incredible. Will you come back again? You're just a fountain of knowledge on this case, and this is like we're in breaking news mode because they're still coming up with stuff moment by moment. And I really appreciate your insight, Billy Jensen. I'll just say your podcast again. It's called Unraveled, and the whole first season was all about the Long Island serial killer. Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you, Ashleigh.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.